In March 2025, a political storm erupted between U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi and Representative Jasmine Crockett, Democrat, Texas, igniting a national debate over protest, free speech, and political accountability. The catalyst? A virtual rally and a controversial birthday wish on March 29th. During a virtual rally organized by the Tesla Takedown movement, Representative Crockett addressed supporters with fervor. The movement, opposing Tesla CEO Elon Musk's involvement in the Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, planned widespread demonstrations against Tesla dealerships. Crockett, aligning with the movement's goals, stated, "On March 29th, it's my birthday, and all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. I have learned, as I serve on the DOGE Oversight Committee, that there is only one language that the people that are in charge understand right now, and that language is money." Her remarks, emphasizing economic protest over violence, were nonetheless met with sharp criticism from Attorney General Pam Bondi. Appearing on Fox News' Sunday Morning Futures, Bondi warned, "She is an elected public official, so she needs to tread very carefully because nothing will happen to Elon Musk, and we're going to fight to protect all of the Tesla owners throughout this country." Bondi's admonition highlighted concerns over the potential for rhetoric to incite real-world consequences, especially amid reports of vandalism against Tesla properties. She emphasized the administration's commitment to prosecuting such acts as domestic terrorism. Crockett, undeterred, responded by clarifying her stance. In an interview, she asserted, "I have never promoted violence whatsoever, yet I've also never made excuses for those violent actors, such as the ones on January 6th. She further criticized Bondi's focus, suggesting that the Attorney General should address the leniency shown towards participants in the January 6th Capitol riot. This exchange underscored a broader tension between the right to protest and the responsibilities of public officials in their rhetoric. As the Tesla Takedown movement gained momentum, with plans for 500 demonstrations nationwide, the discourse between Bondi and Crockett exemplified the complexities of political activism in a polarized America. The Tesla Takedown movement, initially a grassroots campaign opposing Elon Musk's involvement in the Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, rapidly evolved into a global phenomenon. Organizers called for 500 demonstrations at all 277 Tesla showrooms, as well as supercharger stations on March 29th. Tesla's unique showroom strategy, placing high-visibility galleries in affluent urban areas, inadvertently made them prime targets for these protests. Unlike traditional dealerships located on city outskirts, Tesla's showrooms are situated near busy shopping areas, making them ideal for legal and high-impact demonstrations. The protests were not confined to the United States. On March 29th, protesters gathered at Tesla stores in several countries, including Canada, the United Kingdom, Germany, and Australia. In London, a group of Elon Musk critics participated in a public art project where they smashed a 2014 Tesla Model S with sledgehammers and baseball bats to protest wealth inequality and Musk's political affiliations. While many demonstrations remained peaceful, some escalated into violent acts. In the United States and Europe, there were reports of vandalism, arson, and other forms of property damage targeting Tesla facilities. These incidents led to several arrests, with authorities labeling some actions as domestic terrorism. Attorney General Pam Bondi condemned the violent aspects of the protests, emphasizing the administration's commitment to prosecuting such acts. She warned that while peaceful protest is a constitutional right, violence and destruction of property would not be tolerated. Despite the controversies, the Tesla Takedown movement succeeded in drawing significant attention to its cause. Tesla's stock experienced a notable decline, and the company's public image faced challenges amid the widespread demonstrations. The movement's impact extended beyond Tesla, sparking broader discussions about corporate influence in politics, the role of public protest, and the responsibilities of public figures in shaping discourse. In the aftermath of the Tesla Takedown protests, tensions between Attorney General Pam Bondi and Representative Jasmine Crockett intensified, reflecting a broader national debate over the boundaries of political speech and activism. Bondi, appearing on Fox News' Sunday Morning Futures, reiterated her warning to Crockett, emphasizing that words have consequences. She highlighted that following Crockett's remarks, 3 explosive devices were discovered in Austin, Texas, suggesting a potential link between political rhetoric and acts of violence. Crockett, however, remained defiant. In an interview with MSNBC, she clarified that her call to take down Elon Musk was metaphorical, aimed at economic protest rather than physical harm. She stated, "I have never promoted violence whatsoever, yet I've also never made excuses for those violent actors such as the ones on January 6th. The political discourse further deteriorated when a Fox News reporter attempted to question Crockett about the potential impact of her rhetoric on the violence against Tesla properties. An aide intervened, attempting to block the reporter, while Crockett remained silent, drawing criticism from conservative media outlets. Simultaneously, Bondi faced her own challenges. She announced her intention to seek the death penalty whenever possible, following threats to her life linked to her pursuit of capital punishment for Luigi Mangione, charged with the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Bondi expressed concern over the growing support for Mangione among some youth, stating, "These young people have lost their way." The escalating rhetoric and actions from both sides underscored the deepening polarization in American politics. As the nation grappled with the implications of protest, free speech, and political accountability, the Bondi-Crockett confrontation became emblematic of the challenges facing democratic discourse in a divided society. As the Tesla takedown protests intensified, the legal and political landscapes responded with swift and decisive actions. Attorney General Pam Bondi, emphasizing the gravity of the situation, labeled the violent incidents associated with the protests as domestic terrorism. She warned that such acts would be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, highlighting the administration's commitment to maintaining public order and safety. In Texas, state lawmakers took legislative measures to address the surge in vandalism targeting electric vehicle infrastructure. A bill was introduced to classify the intentional damage of EV charging stations, including Tesla's superchargers, as a third-degree felony, punishable by up to 10 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. If the damage exceeded $300,000, the offense would escalate to a first-degree felony, carrying a potential sentence of up to 99 years in prison. These legislative efforts aimed to deter further attacks on EV infrastructure and signal a strong stance against property destruction. Attorney General Bondi supported these measures, emphasizing the need for robust legal frameworks to protect critical infrastructure and uphold the rule of law. The legal responses extended beyond state legislation. Federal authorities pursued charges against individuals involved in violent acts against Tesla properties. In one notable case, Cooper Joe Frederick was arrested and charged for allegedly throwing a firebomb at a Tesla dealership in Loveland, Colorado. The Department of Justice announced its intention to seek a 20-year prison sentence for Frederick, underscoring the severity with which such offenses were being treated. These legal and legislative actions underscored the broader societal debate over the boundaries of protest and the responsibilities of public officials in their rhetoric. As the nation grappled with these complex issues, the confrontation between Attorney General Bondi and Representative Crockett remained a focal point, reflecting the challenges of navigating political activism in a polarized environment. The Tesla takedown protests, ignited by Representative Jasmine Crockett's remarks and Attorney General Pam Bondi's subsequent warning, have become a focal point for discussions on free speech, political accountability, and the role of media in shaping public perception. The media's portrayal of the protests has been a subject of debate. While some outlets have highlighted the peaceful nature of the demonstrations, others have emphasized the instances of violence and vandalism associated with the events. This dichotomy has influenced public opinion, with some viewing the protests as legitimate expressions of dissent and others perceiving them as coordinated efforts to disrupt societal order. The New York Post, for instance, characterized the Tesla takedown campaign as organized crime, suggesting that the protests were part of a highly coordinated effort by professional left-wing activists rather than spontaneous grassroots movements. The article highlighted over 200 protests and several violent incidents, including firebombings, as evidence of a strategic framework utilizing a diversity of tactics doctrine that blends nonviolent public protests with covert violent actions. On the other hand, Supporters of the movement argue that the protests are a necessary response to the perceived overreach of corporate influence in government and society. They view the demonstrations as a call for accountability and transparency, particularly concerning Elon Musk's role in the Department of Government Efficiency. Social media platforms have played a pivotal role in organizing and amplifying the Tesla Takedown protests. Hashtags like #TeslaTakedown and #TeslaTakeover have been used to coordinate events, share information, and mobilize supporters. Notable figures, including actor John Cusack and Representative Jasmine Crockett, have endorsed the movement, lending it further visibility and credibility among their followers. However, the use of social media for organizing protests has also raised concerns about the spread of misinformation and the potential for radicalization. Critics argue that the anonymity and reach of online platforms can facilitate the coordination of disruptive activities and the dissemination of inflammatory rhetoric. The legal and political ramifications of the Tesla Takedown protests are still unfolding. Attorney General Pam Bondi's warning to Representative Crockett underscores the potential consequences of inflammatory rhetoric from public officials. Bondi's statement that words have consequences reflects the administration's stance on holding individuals accountable for speech that may incite violence or disrupt public order. In response to the protests, Texas lawmakers have introduced legislation to classify the intentional damage of electric vehicle charging stations, including Tesla's superchargers, as a third-degree felony. If the damage exceeds $300,000, the offense would escalate to a first-degree felony, carrying a potential sentence of up to 99 years in prison. These legal measures aim to deter further acts of vandalism and signal a strong stance against property destruction. However, they also raise questions about the balance between protecting public and private property and preserving the right to protest. As the Tesla Takedown protests continue to unfold, the nation faces critical questions about the boundaries of free speech, the responsibilities of public officials, and the role of media and social media in shaping public discourse. The confrontation between Attorney General Pam Bondi and Representative Jasmine Crockett serves as a microcosm of the broader challenges facing American democracy in an era of heightened political polarization and rapid information dissemination. Moving forward, it will be essential for all parties involved, government officials, activists, media outlets, and the public, to engage in constructive dialogue that respects differing viewpoints while upholding the principles of justice, accountability, and civil discourse.